And I turn your attention next to another royal story, because, as I explained at the top of the hour, I feel that my gears are malfunctioning when it comes to non-royal stuff at the moment. It's as if you're fed an unleavened diet, I think I got to page 38 of the Daily Mail today before I reached a story that wasn't about the Queen or her family. And I'm not criticising that. I'm not offering an opinion. That's just counting. But it explains why the front page of the Financial Times has a powerful story about Kwasi Kwarteng contemplating a policy designed to give bankers bigger bonuses. One of his first acts as Chancellor of the Exchequer, potentially to give the highest paid people in the country higher pay. Incredible. But even as I say it to you, I don't feel the sort of aligning of the cogs that I would normally feel as I prepare to get informative and incensed about something despicable happening in our country. Those gears are not working for me this week, and it's Thursday, so I doubt they're going to kick in properly until next week, which is why, if you're wondering and you've just tuned in, we are today, although not all week, looking largely at royal-based stories. This one is not. This is a royal story we could have at any point. It's not like the queue. It's not unique to this week or indeed this day. It's about the woman Meghan Markle, as was the Duchess of Sussex, as is. And I've got two reservations about having this conversation. The first is, I never know how much store we should set by social media bonfires, however huge they may appear to be. But that concern is assuaged by the fact that some household name quotes journalists, end quotes, in this country have grown very fat of late upon the diet of abusing this woman for reasons that continue to elude me, and abusing her in the vilest ways. And the second reservation I have is that today is Prince Harry's birthday. And it would therefore perhaps be inappropriate to have a conversation about why so many ghouls and vampires have such a problem with his wife. But I've decided that it's unlikely Harry will be listening today. I know he likes to tune in whenever he's in town, and he's a devil for the podcasts. But I'm fairly confident that he won't be listening live to the programme today. And even if he was, he would find nothing to complain about from what I have to say about him and his wife. Indeed, I think Prince Charles put it extremely well during his address to the nation last Thursday night. Here it is. Friday, was it? Sorry. Last Friday night.
With Catherine beside him, our new Prince and Princess of Wales will, I know, continue to inspire and lead our national conversations, helping to bring the marginal to the centre ground, where vital help can be given. I want also to express my love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their lives overseas.
And these people who describe themselves as fans of the royal family, or as monarchists, or as royalists, choose a day like today or a day like yesterday to abuse the man and woman that Charles himself, the King of England, King Charles, chose to describe his love for in the most clear and incontrovertible of terms. And that's part of the confusion I have about these people. How can you think that you're showing support for the monarchy by being vile about someone's son and daughter-in-law? People who he has expressed his love for in the most public way imaginable. What is it that you think you're doing when you condemn this couple? I'm saying you. I doubt you're going to ring me. You're more than welcome to, but we're probably going to do a they of it. Do they think that Charles is sitting there in Buckingham Palace, or wherever he sits at the moment, lying about how much he loves his son and daughter-in-law, and loving it when Doris Buncher-Numbers with a Union flag avatar on Twitter attacks his son, his beloved son and daughter-in-law? Is that what is the thought process that's going on here? Do these people think that they are because I can't think of anything that's less royalist. I mean, it's treasonous. You really want to get medieval about it, to slag off the king's son and daughter-in-law in this way, to speak about them in such a disgusting and vitriolic fashion, to pick over their every pronouncement and step as if it is some sort of affront to British values. And the reason I'm coming to this story today is because I cannot get my head around how disgusting these people are. I'm not going to mince my words. I think you are truly disgusting. On the occasion of someone's grandmother's funeral, and I'm using the word funeral to describe the events of the whole week, okay, not just the coming events of Monday. Or we could say death. On the occasion of someone's... Let's run through the facts, shall we? Right? Let's just get this absolutely right. We are talking about someone who has lost his grandmother at a time when divisions in the family are still raw. So the grief, the loss, the bereavement is exacerbated by the knowledge that the peace that had once reigned in that family has been diluted, has been diverted. So that's point number one. He's lost his grandmother, right? And he's been living abroad, so he wouldn't have had as many conversations with her as he might liked to have had. Number two, when he was 11, he was compelled by, quotes, protocol, to walk a child, a baby, to walk behind his dead mother's coffin. A mother who was killed, he believes, rightly or wrongly, at least in part, by the uncontrollable, the insatiable attentions of journalists, British and foreign journalists, who pursued her into a tunnel where the car crashed. Now, the car was being driven by someone who was drunk, and there are obviously questions to be asked about both that and the fact that seatbelts weren't being worn. It's not a simplistic conclusion to arrive at. But if your mum died, how would you feel if I came along and told you that your opinions about your mum's death were worthless or wrong or mistaken? Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, look, I know it was your mum, mate, but come here. You know, I've got a TV show. Let me tell you what... It's just gross. It's not funny. It's not fair. It's not journalism. It's disgusting. It's vicious and it's vitriolic. So that's point number two. Royal funerals for him must be absolutely unbearable, because that 11-year-old boy is very close to the surface in a week like this. That traumatized and, in my view, appallingly treated 11-year-old boy, wheeled out to walk behind that coffin, largely because the PR disaster of the royal family's response to the passing of Diana, Princess of Wales, needed to be assuaged. And what better way to assuage it by having her heartbroken boys walking behind the coffin at an age when they wouldn't be allowed into most films on release in this country, at an age when he'd be barely into secondary school in this country, before he'd sat a public exam, before he was considered old enough to, never mind drive a car, he wouldn't be old enough to... you can insert your own example here of just how youthful he was. So that's point number two, the trauma of attending royal funeral or funereal events. Unbelievable. Number three, because I don't think this would matter particularly to him, it's his birthday today. And number four, he is the son of the king that these people claim to revere or respect. And do you know what they did wrong yesterday? Do you know what these vampires and ghouls are complaining about? This boy, this man, who had to walk behind his mother's funeral at the last event. Not the last event, because he lost his great-grandmother as well, didn't he? But the event that he will be most reminded of this week would have been the most traumatic and heartbreaking event of his life. Do you know what they're complaining about? I bet you can't even guess. If you're not across this story already, I bet you can't even imagine what these vicious, vile individuals are complaining about today. But they're definitely not racist. Definitely not racist. Oh, no. No. We'd be this disgusting about anybody if they held hands on their way out of church. That's patriotism for you. according to Meghan Markle's critics. That's reverence for royalty for you, according to Meghan Markle's critics. That's commitment to the monarchy for you, according to Meghan Markle's critics. A man who has suffered the unimaginable pain of being compelled to walk behind his mother's coffin in the eyes of the entire world, held his wife's hand as they came out of a ceremony that would have brought back memory after memory after memory of the worst day of his life, or the second worst day of his life after discovering that he'd lost his mum. Now flip it, right? And look at it from her point of view. A woman who has been exposed to more abuse from the British media than anybody else I can think of. And I am not exaggerating when I say to you, I would include child killers in that analysis. In terms of paragraphs dedicated and pages counted, vicious, vile criminals have received less abuse and less criticism from the British media than the daughter-in-law of the new king. And she's back in the spotlight, back in the crucible where she knows every single sniff and comma will be attacked as if it were an affront to the entire nation. A woman whose wedding bouquet was described as potentially poisoning her bridesmaids because it contained identical flowers to the bouquet carried by her sister-in-law, the wife of Prince William. And guess what happened when she had the cameras pointed at her? Guess what happened when the eyes of the British media and elements, disgusting, shameful elements of the British public that treat her in the most unimaginably horrible way? Guess what happened when she found herself back in that spotlight once again? She took her husband's hand. And I will never know where these people get off unless you tell me. And that's your challenge between now and 12 o'clock. What do you think explains I almost hesitate to use the thought process phrase. I don't think it's a thought process. What do you think explains the behavior of people who today have taken it upon themselves to be vile and obnoxious and disgusting about a husband and wife holding hands? What is it that's going on there? 0345 6060 973 is the number that you need. That's all I want from you. But just explain it to me. However unpleasant your analysis may be, however unwelcome your explanation may be, these people are queuing up to attack two people.
Welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales. If you're here, you know we bring the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth when it comes to Harry and Meghan. And today we're addressing the absolute absurdity of the hate campaign against them. Because, honestly, it's beyond ridiculous at this point. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. Prince Harry, a man who has endured public scrutiny, forced to grieve his mother at 12, dissected by a relentless media machine, dares to do something human. He holds his wife's hand. And what happens? The usual suspects, the toxic royalists, the media vultures and the Twitter trolls, lose their minds. They clutch their pearls, scream protocol, and act like Harry and Meghan committed a high crime. Where was this energy when Kate and William were all over each other on their Caribbean tour? Where was the outrage when Charles flaunted his affair with Camilla while married to Diana? The hypocrisy is stinking up the place, and we're here to call it out. And let's talk about what Meghan was facing that day. This is a woman who has been dragged by the British press in ways we have never seen before. Every time she blinks, it's a headline. Every time she breathes, it's a scandal. She was told her wedding flowers were poisonous, that she made Kate cry, a manipulator, a gold digger, a narcissist, everything but a child of God. When Meghan and Harry stepped into the royal spotlight, knowing the cameras dissected their every move, Meghan reached for her husband's hand. Harry held on. That's love. That's support. Now let's talk about King Charles. In his first speech as king, Charles supported Harry and Meghan, yet royalists still attack them. Why do they ignore Charles's stance? Do they love the monarchy or the drama? And let's be real, it's racist. This vitriol wouldn't exist if Meghan were a white duchess. Obsessing over her outfits, gestures and hand-holding shows how twisted their obsession is. The media feeds off this hate, turning it into headlines and clickbait. But you know what? The joke's on them. Harry and Meghan are still thriving, loved by millions. While haters waste their lives on nonsense, Meghan and Harry are living, loving and succeeding. At the end of the day, this all boils down to one thing: jealousy. Meghan and Harry broke free from the toxicity of the monarchy. They refused to be puppets in a system that was willing to destroy them for profit, and they are building a beautiful life on their terms. That's why they're hated, because they refuse to play by the outdated, oppressive rules of the firm. But guess what? They don't need the approval of the British press, the bitter royalists, or the trolls. They have each other, they have their children, they have their happiness, and they have us, a global community that sees through the lies and stands by them no matter what. So let's keep supporting Harry and Meghan. Let's drown out the hate with love. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Meghan and Harry Tales, and show your support through super thanks. We're here to uplift, defend and celebrate Harry and Meghan because they deserve nothing less.